live in the Hudson Valley in New York, and I'm listening to the second night of the DNC, and I'm going to live draw it for you as I did last night for a little bit. And John Kerry is speaking at the moment, so I'm going to turn this around and draw him.
Write love letters to dictators. America deserves a president who is looked up to, not laughed at. Donald Trump pretends Russia didn't attack our elections. And now he does nothing about Russia putting a bounty on our troops. So he won't defend our country. He doesn't know how to defend our troops. The only person he's interested in defending is himself. This is the bottom line. Our interests, our ideals, and our brave men and women in uniform can't afford 4 more years of Donald Trump. Our troops can't get out of harm's way by hiding in the White House bunker. They need a president who will stand up for them, and President Biden will. Joe's moral compass has always pointed in the right direction, from the fight to break the back of apartheid to the struggle to wake up the world to genocide in the Balkans. Joe understands that none of the issues of this world, not nuclear weapons, not the challenge of building back better after COVID, not terrorism, and certainly not the climate crisis, none can be resolved without bringing nations together with strength and humility. Joe understands our values don't limit our power, they magnify it. He knows you can't spread democracy around the world if you don't practice it at home. And he knows that even the United States of America needs friends on this planet. Before Donald Trump, we used to talk about American exceptionalism. The only thing exceptional about the incoherent Trump foreign policy is that it has made our nation more isolated than ever before. Joe Biden knows we aren't exceptional because we bluster that we are. We are exceptional because we do exceptional things. On June 6, 1944, young Americans gave their lives on the beaches of Normandy to liberate the world from tyranny. Out of the ashes of that war, we made peace and rebuilt the world. That was and remains exceptional. It is the opposite of everything Donald Trump stands for. This moment is a fight for the security of America and the world. Only Joe Biden can make America lead like America again. If you agree, text JOIN to 30330. Thank you.
In the Situation Room, presidents make decisions of war and peace. So when Joe Biden walks in the Situation Room, first and foremost in his mind is, how will my decision impact the lives of the American people?
He is experienced. He has made the tough calls.
He's got courage. He's got tremendous courage, character, judgment. And he can be tough. I witnessed it close up.
Joe Biden is decisive and well prepared for any issue.
There's no one more qualified than Joe Biden to be sitting at the head of the table in this situation.
This is Liza Donnelly. I'm live drawing the DNC,
Having sent his son
night number
to
2.
war, I don't think anyone can be
And,
more ready than Vice President
Just
Biden.
saw John Kerry speak about foreign policy and how Biden we'd better leave than Donald Trump.
They are force multipliers.
These are some of the other drawings I've done.
To connect with people.
Let's see who's here.
He's dealt with them for years, knows what makes them tick.
They trust him, they trust his judgment. And they
Hello,
work in his
Scottsdale. Hi, Ellie. Phil Judd. What is the DNC? It's the Democratic National Convention. It's virtual this year. It's supposed to be in Milwaukee, but because of the virus, it's now virtual. They're having it over the course of 4 days. It's when the party nominates the candidate for the presidential election. And Joe Biden was just nominated a few moments ago. All the states do their roll call. Here's some of the other ones. So this is the moment I drew a few minutes ago when Jill and Joe are in a room with their grandchildren, which I didn't draw them. They hear the news that he's been nominated.
I was shocked when I read that. But the president didn't even ask Vladimir Putin about it. That's un-American.
Something I didn't do. This is an interesting story. This is a security guard of the New York Times that met Joe Biden, and they had this person on the camera tonight. Her name is Jacqueline Brittany, and she she nominated, she was one of the two people that nominated Joe for his name forward. AOC was one of the people that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez put Bernie Sanders' name forward. Bernie is still on the ballot, but he didn't get enough. Bernie did not get enough delegates to be nominated, but he was still on the ballot. This is the chairman of the Democratic National Convention Committee. Bill Clinton spoke earlier. This is Caroline Kennedy and her son, whose name I was trying to research. I didn't get the answer. I didn't get the name yet, but they spoke tonight. Senator Chuck Schumer. Oh, here's Colin Powell. I'm going to draw him.
100 years ago, a young immigrant left a dirt farm in Jamaica and set out for America. 3 years later, a ship pulled into New York Harbor, and a young Jamaican woman gazed up at the Statue of Liberty for the first time. They became my parents, and they inspired me to finish college and join the Army. This began a journey of service that would take me from basic training to combat in Vietnam, up the ranks to serve as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Secretary of State. The values I learned growing up in the South Bronx and serving in uniform were the same values that Joe Biden's parents instilled in him in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I support Joe Biden for the presidency of the United States because those values still define him, and we need to restore those values to the White House. Our country needs a commander-in-chief who takes care of our troops in the same way he would his own family. For Joe Biden, that doesn't need teaching. It comes from the experience he shared with millions of military families, sending his beloved son off to war and praying to God he would come home safe. Joe Biden will be a president we will all be proud to salute. With Joe Biden in the White House, you will never doubt that he will stand with our friends and stand up to our adversaries, never the other way around. He will trust our diplomats and our intelligence community, not the flattery of dictators and despots. He will make it his job to know when anyone dares to threaten us. He will stand up to our adversaries with strength and experience. They will know he means business. I support Joe Biden because beginning on day one, he will restore Americans' leadership and our moral authority. He'll be a president who knows that America is strongest when, as he has said, we lead both by the power of our example and the example of our power. He will restore America's leadership in the world and restore the alliances we need to address the dangers that threaten our nation, from climate change to nuclear proliferation. Today, we are a country divided, and we have a president doing everything in his power to make it that way and keep us that way. What a difference it will make to have a president who unites us, who restores our strength and our soul. I still believe that in our hearts, we are the same America that brought my parents to our shores, an America that inspires freedom around the world. That's the America Joe Biden will lead as our next president. This is Colin Powell. Thank you very much.
Former Secretary of State.
It was a friendship that shouldn't have
and a former Republican, or he still might be.
John, a former Navy pilot just released from a North Vietnamese prison. Joe, a young senator from Delaware. But in the 1970s, Joe was assigned a military aide for a trip overseas.
I was the Navy Senate liaison and used to carry your bags on overseas trips.
The son of a gun never carried my bags. He was supposed to carry my bags, Dad, but he never carried my bags.
John and Joe traveled thousands of miles together. The families got to know
They're talking about
gathering for
friendship of
They would just sit.
John McCain and Joe Biden right now.
Comedy show sometimes to watch the two of them.
But when John was elected,
I don't know who's coming up next.
From Arizona,
let's see what you guys are saying.
Themselves on opposing sides.
That is Steve asked. Hi, Steve Lovett. Asked if that's the iPad Pro. It is. Mm-hmm. Hi, Mark from LA. Love your drawings. Thank you, Mark. Oh, I'm glad. He says their favorite part of the convention. 4 years ago, I was at the convention. I was so excited. I loved it.
The institution of the Senate. He built relationships that were cordial, that were personal.
We've always been willing, when we thought the other guy was right, Across the aisle,
Chuck
lock
Schumer.
arms. It's good for the
This
country.
is the iPad Pro.
It takes
Hi,
trust
Brett Walker
to
from
get
LA.
things done in a divided
Yeah, it has a
market.
great watercolor
And I
look,
think
doesn't
with
it?
Joe
This is an
Biden,
app
his
called
colleagues
Paper.
knew that your points are
Yep,
equally valid
Steve wants
to
to.
him.
Steve love it. It's
Even if
Paper.
the deal seemed out of reach, it was
Thank you,
always
Larissa.
Joe who tried to cross the aisle.
Hello,
He
Peter
was like a natural.
from Seattle.
He just had an ability to find the common ground, but never give up your principles.
For 3 decades, Joe was able to move his colleagues.
Yeah, it
and
is
find a way
amazing.
forward.
Mark says it's truly amazing to hear Colin
Unarmed
Powell
civilians,
praise Biden this way.
banning
Yeah,
chemical weapons, assault weapons,
just
and
because
patrolling
Colin was a
vehicles.
Republican, right, Mark?
Was a style
This is
legislative and
Sally
leadership
Yates,
that you
who
don't
was
find
fired by
much
Trump.
anymore.
And this is
And
the
when
MC
millions of
tonight,
Americans
Tracy
were faced
Ross
with losing
Ellis,
their
who's
homes,
Diana Ross's
it
daughter,
was
by the
Joe's
way.
crew who
You
saved
didn't know
them.
that. It took me a long time to figure that out.
McCain
Stacey Abrams spoke earlier. She was
I've been given several
a
awards about bipartisanship. We
state
don't
legislator,
understand
and
why she's
she
getting awards for bipartisanship.
ran for governor and almost beat a white man, which is quite something. And she's now quite a strong voice in the Democratic Party. They were some people thought maybe that Joe was going to pick her as his vice presidential pick. That's something I didn't do. There's Elizabeth Warren earlier today. So I think they're going to do Jill Biden next.
I have a rule that I never think of anything negative when I'm running.
She's a runner, huh?
When I set my mind to something, I find a way to get it done.
She is so damn tough and loyal. When I met Jill, I knew. My brother said,
draw her
"This
running, but
woman, you really like her, Jill." So I gave her a call, and she had a date that night.
You said, do you think you could break your date?
Oh, that's right. And what'd you do?
Well, I called and told the guy that I had a friend in from out of town and went out with Joe.
I was 30, and I was a senator, and I was a widower. 7 years earlier, a tractor trailer broadside my wife and 3 children. My wife was killed, and my daughter was killed. I wasn't big on the whole date scene thing. But when I met Jill, I fell in love with her when I saw her.
We're doing a little montage of video of photographs and video of Jill Biden and Joe right now. But I decided to draw her running.
He's looking at his calendar and
Because why not?
Oh, Thursday. No, I'm really busy. No, I'm busy Friday. How about tomorrow? And I thought, buddy, you just blew your cover.
She's only sensitive. The boys fell in love with Jill, too. I'm brushing my teeth one morning, and they came running in, and Bo and I said, "Dad, we think it's time we marry Jill." I swear to God. Asked her to marry me 5 times.
It wasn't just my heart that was on the line. And I loved the boys so much. I had to be sure that it had to be forever.
Now, I'm going to ask you one more time. Will you marry me? She goes like this. Okay.
It's our cats. Oops.
She gave me back my life. She gave us back a family.
So, as I said earlier, this is Liza Donnelly. I'm a cartoonist and a writer for the New Yorker and New York Times and other places, and I'm live drawing the convention. Right now I'm waiting for Jill Biden to come on to speak. They're showing a lot of pictures and photographs, pictures and video right now, so I have nothing to draw.
She's also 5 girls.
Jill Biden is a college teacher. She's always taught in a community college, which I think is really interesting.
In high school, she marched up the street and knocked on his door,
And I punched him right in the face. My father fought in World War II. He was a signalman in the Navy.
Anybody have any questions while I'm waiting for Jill Biden to speak?
He would take us to watch the Blue Angels. And
I really love the the
proud.
conventions, even the
We
Republican
worshipped our
one,
mother.
as well as the
I
Democratic
can
one,
picture her so well, reading for hours.
which
She
I
just
will live draw
loved
the
to
one.
read.
The
That had a
Republican
great
convention is
influence
next
on me.
week.
I went to
I don't
college
know how
at
they're
the
going to do it.
University of Delaware. Then I taught in
I can
high
show you some of the
schools.
other drawings.
I mean, I
But I
got
love
up every single
the
day so excited to go teach.
I just love the
When I
tradition
married
is
Joe,
what it
I
is.
took
So
off
these are the ones I
time
did last
to
night.
establish myself as the boys' mom. We don't use the term stepmother.
As the mayor of Washington, D.C.
Our mommy died.
These are the family of George Floyd.
And then along came
It's very emotional.
Our family
This
was
is the mother of Eric Garner, who was the black man that was killed by police years ago. I forget when he was killed, but it was one of the earlier ones that we were well aware of.
Started when I was a teenager. There was some conflict.
Representative James Clyburn.
She dealt with it by taking up running.
Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York.
She started to basically run marathons.
I never ever doubted that anything she said in mind she could do. I got to hand her
Bernie
doctorate
Sanders.
degree in education at the University
Michelle,
of
I got a little trouble drawing Michelle last
Well,
night.
let's turn it positive so
Elizabeth Warren.
you will pass it.
So
I would say she's not your average grandmother.
Yeah.
She, she's the grandmother who wakes you up at like, what was it, 5 a.m. on Christmas Eve to go soul cycling.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of stories. Yeah, she's a prankster.
Yeah.
She's very mischievous. Like, when she goes on a run, sometimes she'll find like a dead snake. And she'll pick it up and put it in a bag, and she'll use it to scare someone.
Oh, that's a classic Jill. She wasn't really a Washington person, and I don't think ever imagined herself being part of that.
When Joe was elected to vice president, I just thought, hey, I got to step it up here. Because there are things that I really care about. Having had a father in the military, having a son deployed in Iraq, I saw the need to
Just
support
looking at her
military
face on the
families.
camera, trying to
Dr.
figure out
Biden
her
could draw anyone in, and they felt like they were talking to an
profile.
old
I've
friend.
never
That
really,
is
I
one
think
of
I've drawn her once
superpowers.
before.
When she was second lady, Jill told me that she would
Quite a
like to
jaw.
continue teaching at community college. And I said, that's insane. You cannot possibly do that.
I said, I know I can do both jobs.
I never saw her on any day of the week where she wasn't carrying a huge stack of papers to grade.
As second lady, she was teaching full time for 8 years, 15 credits a semester.
These were students who wanted to be in your classroom. And I saw their tenacity. And they were taking care of children, just like I had done.
He gave 100%.
Great thing about this iPad,
energy
I mean
to
this Apple
students.
Pencil is
She's
that
a great
you
teacher.
can control
Teaching is not what Jill does, it's who she is.
the width
Jill just simply cares.
of the
She cares about other people.
line.
When Bo was diagnosed with brain cancer, nobody knew what we were going through. The Secret Service, they're not supposed to react to your life or what you're doing. They would whisper, I'm praying for you.
It's your strength that holds this family together. And I know that you will make us whole again.
You never stop grieving, ever. But you do have to find purpose. Running for president is too tough to not
I think
be
this is
together. The
pretty good
first
likeness
lady
of
of the
her.
United States.
Right. There you go. If Dr. Biden is
Brett
our
asks,
first
what's
lady,
been your
the
favorite
country
political
will
figure to
be
draw?
one of the best humans that we have.
Brett, also, you said her features, you're right. You said they're angular, but not harsh.
American people in their heart know
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
We all need community. We need to depend on others for our strength. All
She's
American
got a
families, we all need
friendly
each other.
face, a fun face. Here she comes.
And now, please welcome Dr. Jill Biden.
In school.
I have always loved the sounds of a classroom, the quiet that sparks with possibility just before students shuffle in, the murmur of ideas bouncing back and forth as we explore the world together, the laughter and tiny moments of surprise you find in materials you've taught a million times. When I taught English here at Brandywine High School, I would spend my summer preparing for the school year about to start, filled with anticipation. But this quiet is heavy. You can hear the anxiety that echoes down empty hallways. There's no scent of new notebooks or freshly waxed floors. The rooms are dark as the bright young faces that should fill them are now confined to boxes on a computer screen. I hear it from so many of you. The frustration of parents juggling work while they support their children's learning, are afraid that their kids might get sick from school. The concern of every person working without enough protection. The despair in the lines that stretch out before food banks. And the indescribable sorrow that follows every lonely last breath when the ventilators turn off. As a mother and a grandmother, as an American, I am heartbroken by the magnitude of this loss, by the failure to protect our communities, by every precious and irreplaceable life gone. Like so many of you, I'm left asking, how do I keep my family safe? You know, motherhood came to me in a way I never expected. I fell in love with a man and two little boys standing in the wreckage of unthinkable loss, mourning a wife and mother, a daughter and sister. I never imagined at the age of 26, I would be asking myself, how do you make a broken family whole? Still, Joe always told the boys, Mommy sent Jill to us. And how could I argue with her? And so we figured it out together in those big moments that would go by too fast, Thanksgivings and state championships, birthdays and weddings, in the mundane ones that we didn't even know were shaping our lives. Reading stories piled on the couch, rowdy Sunday dinners and silly arguments. Listening to the faint sounds of laughter that would float downstairs as Joe put the kids to bed every night, while I studied for grad school or graded papers under the pale yellow kitchen lamp, the dinner dishes waiting in the sink. We found that love holds a family together. Love makes us flexible and resilient. It allows us to become more than ourselves together. And though it can't protect us from the sorrows of life, it gives us refuge, a home. How do you make a broken family whole? The same way you make a nation whole. With love and understanding, and with small acts of kindness, with bravery, with unwavering faith. You show up for each other in big ways and small ones, again and again. It's what so many of you are doing right now for your loved ones, for complete strangers, for your communities. There are those who want to tell us that our country is hopelessly divided, that our differences are irreconcilable. But that's not what I've seen over these last few months. We're coming together and holding on to each other. We're finding mercy and grace in the moments we might have once taken for granted. We're seeing that our differences are precious and our similarities infinite. We have shown that the heart of this nation still beats with kindness and courage.
This is Jill Biden speaking.
That's the soul of America Joe Biden is fighting for now. After our son Beau died of cancer, I wondered if I would ever smile or feel joy again. It was summer, but there was no warmth left for me. 4 days after Beau's funeral, I watched Joe shave and put on his suit. I saw him steel himself in the mirror, take a breath, put his shoulders back, and walk out into a world empty of our son. He went back to work. That's just who he is. There are times when I couldn't even imagine how he did it, how he put one foot in front of the other and kept going. But I've always understood why he did it. For the daughter who convinces her mom to finally get a breast cancer screening and misses work to drive her to the clinic. For the community college student who has faced homelessness and survived abuse, but finds the grit to finish her degree and make a good life for her kids. For the little boy whose mom is serving as a Marine in Iraq, who puts on a brave face in his video call and doesn't complain when the only thing he wants for his birthday is to be with her. For all those people Joe gives his personal phone number to at rope lines and events, the ones he talks to for hours after dinner, helping them smile through their loss, letting them know that they aren't alone. He does it for you. Joe's purpose has always driven him forward. His strength of will is unstoppable, and his faith is unshakable. Because it's not in politicians or political parties or even in himself. It's in the providence of God. His faith is in you, in us. Yes, so many classrooms are quiet right now. The playgrounds are still. But if you listen closely, you can hear the sparks of change in the air. Across this country, educators, parents, first responders, Americans of all walks of life are putting their shoulders back, fighting for each other. We haven't given up. We just need leadership.
Thank you, Mamie. Mamie Brower thinks I've captured her well.
You, honest leadership to bring us back together, to recover from this
I've watched her
pandemic
over the years.
and prepare for whatever else is next.
She has features that are
leadership to reimagine what our nation will be. That's Joe. He and Kamala will work as hard as you do every day to make this nation better. And if I have the honor of serving as your First Lady, I will too. And with Joe as president, these classrooms will ring out with laughter and possibility once again. The burdens we carry are heavy, and we need someone with strong shoulders. I know that if we entrust this nation to Joe, he will do for your family what he did for ours. Bring us together and make us whole. Carry us forward in our time of need. Keep the promise of America for all of us.
All right, well.
I'm Joe Biden's husband. As you heard tonight, excuse me, you can see why she's the love of my life, the rock of our family. She never gives herself much credit. But the truth is, she's the strongest person I know. She's a backbone like a ramrod. She loves fiercely, cares deeply. Nothing stops her when she sets her mind to getting something right. And you know, for all of you out there across the country, just think of your favorite educator who gave you the confidence to believe in yourself. That's the kind of First Lady
Lady, this Joe Biden will be. God bless.
So go to JoeBiden.com to join our campaign.
Thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
All right, that's the DNC for night 2. It's Jill and Joe together. Thank you for watching.
For being a part of this night. As Dr. Biden just reminded us, Joe is a steady and experienced leader who can bring us together and help us heal, who will support us in getting better. Remember,
turn it around.
We bend the arc of justice.
So thanks for joining me, and I will see you again tomorrow. I'll do this again tomorrow night. Thanks for being here, and have a good night.
Tomorrow night,
Bye.
I meet